to the county building, and your county clerk will actually tabulate all those results and then count your ballot and deliver those results to the Secretary of State. But at this point, your image, your ballot, is only an image on a tabulator. At the end of the election that night, your township clerk will go into that tabulator and close out that tabulator and shut down the election. And at that time, a tape is printed off out of the tabulator.
Yes.
And that tape will tell you how many votes went for each candidate in each race. Okay? So imagine this. We now have a long printer tape, like a receipt you get at the grocery store. And it has every race on it, every election, every candidate, the numbers of ballots that were assigned to each candidate. Your board of canvassers will then look at that tape, compare it to the poll book. As Patrick said, the poll book is nothing more than an extension of the qualified voter file. It tells you who's allowed to vote and who's come in to vote. They mark that off in the poll book. These canvassers will compare that tape to the poll book. If the numbers match up in terms of the number of people who voted on the tape and the number who voted in the poll book, they'll certify your election for that township. No questions asked, never look at the paper ballots. Well, I know how to trick that. I can run an election on the tabulator, and I can flip any election I want. Presidential all the way down to your school board, to your proposals. I can flip votes from any candidate I want to another candidate. Okay? And then when I close out the election, I can print off a tape that has whatever results on it that I want it to have. It has nothing to do with the paper ballots. Okay, so I can trick the election now at the tabulator. I can then transfer those ballots or those results to the election management system, which sits on the county clerk's desk. And I can have the same fraudulent results now show up on that machine, which will then be sent to the Secretary of State's office in Lansing. That's pretty significant. Okay? That means that any election can be tricked or fraudulent simply based on how we program it at the tabulator. That's terrifying. Okay? And I can do that. Listen, I'm just a constitutional attorney from Kalamazoo, right? I mean, who am I? I'm just a guy that, where was I back in October? You think thought I'd be here? You think I know this much about election equipment back in October? Now I have no clue, right? But in 7 months, I'm here now telling you about this. I put together a team of experts, former NSA guys, very qualified forensic people, who have spent months looking at these machines, studying them, telling us how they run. If you think I can do that in 8 months, do you think China knows how to do it? You think Russia knows how to do it? You think the Democrat Party knows how to do it? You think the Hillary Clinton Foundation knows how to do it? And you think the Republican Party knows how to do it?
Yes, too.
They all know how to do it. And that's why they're silent. Now, I gave a speech last night and someone stood up after and said, I have a friend, she asked the question, she said, I have a friend who's a candidate, and you said you can show them how to win. And I said, no. I said, Patrick actually took the mic and said, no, that's not what we meant. We're not teaching you how to cheat. No, not for any money, okay? We're not teaching you how to cheat elections. But this is why your party refuses to acknowledge the fraud. It's why they remain silent.
Because they're complicit.
They don't want you to understand their complacency within the very fraud that they helped create, the system they helped create. This is a problem. You have to get rid of these machines. Okay? I can tell you something else I can do also.
That's right.
So now I told you I can cheat at the tabulator. I can have the tape print out to have any results on it I want. Any candidate I want can win at the tabulator. I can transfer those results to the election management system and send them on to the Secretary of State. Okay? But let's say it's 11 o'clock at night and my candidate's still not winning. I've done everything I could, right? I thought I did enough. You know, I was commissioned to do this in whatever precinct you want to say in Wayne County. It doesn't have to be Wayne County. It can be any make-believe county in the state of Michigan. Let's not use Wayne County. We'll use land of make-believe, right? Let's say you just don't have enough. You get a call from the central party out of Washington, D.C. and say, we don't have enough. We don't have enough. We're still down by 300,000 votes. What do we do? Well, you know what I can do? I can reopen an election. I can find a high-speed tabulator. I can reopen an election. I can stuff more ballots in it over and over and over again. It could be the same ballot. You can run the same ballot over and over again. You know, the machine won't detect that it's the same ballot. There's no serial numbers, there's no coding, there's nothing that says the same ballots run over and over again. I can do that for a couple hours. Maybe it's 4 in the morning now and my hand is really tired. I'm exhausted, you know. I say to someone, hey, you know, bring in another cooler of soda pops. And they bring them in, but there's really ballots in there, right? Right? I can send a white van full of Subway subs, right? The white van that didn't really exist until we learned it did. That conspiracy theory that didn't happen until we learned it did. I can do that. And then I can close out that election and I can print off that tape. And you know what date and time I can put on that tape?
Anyone you want.
8 p.m. 8 p.m. That's scary, right? That's terrifying. And yet they all say, we don't want you to look at the ballots. You can't look at the ballots. You can't look at the ballots. Well, you can look at the ballots. And every one of you has a constitutional right to look at the ballots. Every one of you. You have a constitutional right to audit the statewide election. It's self-executing. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to file a lawsuit. You can simply call your congressman up and say, I want to exercise my constitutional right to audit the statewide election.
Forensically.
You can do that. You know what the judge in our case said? Well, Secretary of Benson said she's done 250 audits. And even though she's a defendant, I'm going to let her decide that she did an audit. Well, she did. She did 250 audits. You know what she did? She handpicked various precincts across the state and told those clerks to pull out a couple ballots. In Barry County, there's 2 precincts that she says she audited. In one of them, she said the county clerk looked at 4 ballots out of 2,000. In another precinct, she had a clerk look at 2 ballots. And she goes on the media and does her interviews and says, I've done 250 audits across the state of Michigan. That's a lie. She hasn't done any of that stuff. She's lying to you. And yet our Michigan representatives sit back on their hands. They don't call her out. They don't do anything. Instead, they claim that they're putting forth, 13 or 15 pieces of legislation that will do absolutely nothing. It will just continue the misery that we're under, the fraud that we're under.
Yep.
That's what they do. Let me ask you something. Who knows who Merrick Garland is? Who saw his speech a couple days ago? I mean, really? I mean, you guys understand what he was saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you realize the significance of what that man said when he stood there and said that the Department of Justice is going to scrutinize these audits in Arizona. Number one, the Department of Justice has literally no jurisdiction at all in a state issue like that. But has that ever stopped the federal government from stepping in on states' rights? I mean, I don't know. I mean, does the federal government come in on states' rights? I'm asking for about, 200 million little babies. Just curious if the federal government imposes its will on states. I think it does. And I have this I got to tell you about. Issued by the FBI. They will start now investigating anyone who is associated with or somehow promoted QAnon conspiracy theories. And suggesting that that is somehow domestic violent extremists. This is an operation they're running now to keep you silent. To keep me silent. And if you guys don't realize it, if you don't think his speech and this FBI alert is put out for guys like me, you're kidding yourself. 256 law school deans signed a letter saying that I shouldn't be able to practice law anymore because of this lawsuit. 256. These are the numbskulls who are educating our upcoming lawyers. My two alma maters, I don't just have one law degree, I decided to go get two. Okay, I went to New York University, got a second. That dean doesn't think I should have a law degree. You'd think they'd be like, yeah, this guy's doing pretty good. Look at this. He's actually out there fighting for the Constitution. Well, they may have forgotten what the Constitution says. They certainly have forgotten what the First Amendment says. How many tenets are there to the First Amendment? Shout them out. 5. Who said 5? Listen to this guy. 5, everyone. How many do you know? Give me them. Religion, we've already talked about that, right?
Speech.
Free speech.
Press.
Assembly, what you're all doing here.
Press.
But guess
Association.
what? If they shut down your business, make you wear a mask, mask line enforcement, what are you no longer doing? Assembling. You think that was part of the plan? I don't know, maybe. I don't want to be a QAnon guy. I might get raided tonight, right? I'll be like Roger Stone at 5 in the morning.
Right.
Right? I mean, why do they send that many FBI agents to see Roger Stone? I mean, the only time they sent more FBI agents to visit someone is when they had to investigate a garage pull at NASCAR.
That's right.
You know, when I called the FBI, you know how many agents they've sent?
None.
0.
Never.
When I got death threats, you know how many FBI agents they sent?
No.
0. They're like,
0.
oh, I think that guy sounds like a fan. No, that's a true story. Well, that guy sounds like a fan, you know? Okay. Well, maybe it is. When they said, we're going to come and extract you from your home tonight, the FBI was like, no, I think he's just kidding. So, okay, freedom of speech, religion, assembly,
Press.
right to petition, right?
Press.
Freedom of press, right? Freedom of press is totally corrupted, by the way. That's totalitarianism, what that is. You know totalitarianism? It's literally when the press has been totally corrupted by the government and where they speak one thing and one agenda given to them by their government masters.
Yeah.
Totalitarianism is socialism, it is Marxism. If I can't say Marxism enough to you tonight, I will try to say it as many times as I can. Our Attorney General is a fascist. Dana Nessel is a total fascist. The Führer Whitmer is a socialist, and every one of them should resign. Our Secretary of State
Yes, indeed. Yes.
who should no longer be in office. But our Attorney General actually represents her in my case. We've alleged that the Secretary of State committed mass election fraud, and our Attorney General represents her in defense. That's not her job. Her job is the opposite, to investigate. Our Attorney General has turned into a defense attorney, a criminal defense attorney. I mean, the world's upside down. This is bonkers, right? I mean, to take a word from our English friends across the pond, this is bonkers. And a lot of them actually are concerned about what we're doing. Patrick's right about that. So think about that. The 5 tenets of the First Amendment. The freedom to petition the government for redress. That's what Bill Baily's doing.
Yeah.
And yet our Attorney General and the Secretary of State have come out and said that attorneys like me should be sanctioned for bringing this lawsuit. We should lose our law license for bringing this lawsuit. Not only do they not understand the Constitution, but they just violated it again. Okay? These are the people running our government right now. These are the people. I'm asking you to get involved so that we can fight this extremism. I mean, we have to. We have to fight this extremism by people getting involved and doing something. So, what? No, he's asking, what do you do? The judges are corrupted. There's no law enforcement. You know, the legislatures are corrupted. We're going to lose anyway. The sheriffs are corrupted. You're right in many ways, but don't be defeatist. Because I am telling you, I can't tell you, so I'm not telling you.
It's we the people. We the people, our rights.
You know,
We take back our country.
keep this to yourself. Don't even tell your wife. Antrim County is going to be a part of history one day.
Yep, that's right. Woo! That's right. That's right.
Not because we showed that 7,000 votes flipped in Antrim County that were, later corrected, presumably. We don't know that really because they haven't let us look at the ballots. But Antrim County is not going to be known because of the 7,000 votes that flipped. Because that doesn't change the election. There's, Joe Biden won by 150,000 votes, right? All right, he did. But it's not the 7,000 votes that matter. What matters is we did something no one ever did before. We went into that county and collected forensic images of their system.
Woo!
And that can't be taken away from us.
That's right.
Even if they
You
try,
did it.
they're not going to find where we house those images.
Woo!
Okay? But what we've got from those is a treasure trove of information and data. Antrim County was always a jumping off point for what we are doing.
Tip of the spear. Woo!
We have put out 18 reports. And one thing I've learned as a lawyer is you don't announce something that you're doing in advance.
That's right.
You don't say you have the Kraken when you don't. You don't raise $20 million saying you had the Kraken when you don't have it, and then keep the $20 million. You don't do that, okay? What you do is you step on your opponent by releasing your data, and then the next time you point at someone else, they'll know that you're coming for them. That's how you practice law. That's how you release information. That's how you release data. You don't announce it in advance and tell everyone what you're doing, okay? If anyone gave to that organization, did anyone? Defending the Republic? call them up and ask for your money back. Because I need the money. Don't let her sit on $20 million, people, and not do anything with it. Because what we're doing is more than anyone else has ever done. Okay? And we're doing it on a shoestring budget. And that's the reality of it. Don't buy into any of this other stuff that you're hearing from anyone else. We're the only ones that actually have these images. We're the only ones doing this. We're the only ones out there talking to local sheriffs, talking to local counties. We've expanded our footprint into other states. This is a far more expansive operation than any that I can tell you about. So don't lose hope, is what I'm saying. Don't be defeated. Because if all of you have that attitude and you're a defeatist, then we don't have the energy to run. I will tell you that what we have, I have a box at home, a huge box of letters I've received from people with donations of $20, $50, $100. And we would not have survived without that. So it's people like you who send in those donations that keep us going. And it's the letters you send. I mean, don't discount the letters you send into our team telling us how you appreciate what we're doing, because we've got a stack of them, a huge stack of letters of people telling us what they appreciate from all over the world, not just this state and not just this country, but from all over the world. I've got letters from people telling me that they've gathered up all they could afford, every last dime they've had out of their Social Security check, and here's $5. That's important. So don't be a defeatist and don't give up, because if you give up, then we have no energy to run on. And I'll tell you, this is hard work. No one else is doing this, and we need everyone's help, and we need support. We need both financial support, and we need your prayers, and we need you to give us, that energy to run. And so that's important. So I don't know. None of this is planned that I talk about. I just kind of wing it. So maybe I gave you some hope a little bit. Gave you some information and data. Yeah. Anyone have any questions? There's probably no questions. Yes.
I feel like we got more people to support it to come under the plaintiffs. Why can't you get more plaintiffs out of it?
You don't need
Right.
more plaintiffs when you have Bill Baily. Yes. Oh yeah, he said, why don't you have more plaintiffs? Why do you only have Bill Baily? Why don't you have more plaintiffs? And I said, you don't need more plaintiffs when you have Bill Baily.
What is the status of the litigation?
The status of the litigation is the judge dismissed our case. What's that?
What was that?
Yeah, the judge stated that under the Constitution says that every citizen has the right to audit the statewide election. And Secretary of Benson said she did an audit. Case closed. He didn't examine the issue of what that means, what the definition of an audit is, or whether she actually fulfilled that duty. So we filed a motion for reconsideration. We asked him to reconsider that. I think it's quite good. You should all read it. It's I've been told actually it's one of the better pieces of legal writing that people have ever seen. And it is quite good. There's no time frame.
I assume it's pending.
Yeah, it's pending.
In Antrim County though.
Yeah, Antrim County, it's pending. But it's quite good. You should all read it. It may be published one day.
You know, the judge, you gotta go to the same guy?
Yeah, you got to go to the same judge to read it, and if that fails, we go to the Court of Appeals. But I think ultimately we'll prevail on that issue. But what I want to leave you with is this. It doesn't matter, people. We already won. We won on December 4th when we went into that county without the media knowing what we were doing and collected forensic images. We won that day. We won for the country that day because they can't take away what we have now. And they can't take away what we're going to continue to produce. We put out 18 reports, and more will come because we're discovering more and more things. It's a matter of people listening, and it's a matter of people sharing it. When we try to share this on Facebook, we're immediately shut down. I'm surprised I still have a Twitter account, but it's probably just because I have humorous tweets now and then, which are somewhat entertaining, some people have said, but they still haven't shut me down there, so we can share some stuff. But you have to talk to people and get this information out. It's all available on my website. We're completely transparent. We're not hiding anything. Everyone can look at it. I can get 500 emails a day from people telling me in some cases they like what they read, and in some cases I should die, right? But you can all read it and make your own decision, and people should read it. Yes?
How do you spell your name and what is your website?
My website is DePernoLaw.com. DePernoLaw. It's a good Italian name, just like it sounds. Yes?
Are the 18 reports that you keep referring to available for us to view?
They are all available
On your site?
on my site. You can look at all of them. You can see everything we've done, and you can share them with your friends.
Thank you.
Yes?
With all the corruption, and I work the adjudication computer at TCF, have you found any fraudulent activity with the scanners?
Yes. Next question.
Yes. Website.
What's that?
I looked at the State Bar website, and there's a complaint form for lawyers and judges.
Yes.
Would it help if we sent thousands of complaints to the Bar Association?
He's asking, he's looked on the State Bar's website, and there's a form there where you can send in a complaint against a judge or a lawyer. And he's asking me if anyone can send in a complaint, the only way I'm going to answer that is by saying that the form is there. Yes.
Does Mike Lindell really have ability to get this report?
No. Next question. Back there? Yes.
Please tell me that there was actual prosecutions in the end.
She's asking if there will be real prosecutions in the end, and we hope so, but that's not our job. I'm not a prosecutor. We've given data to prosecuting attorneys,
Nothing's happening.
you know, so far we haven't seen that, but you know, that takes courage from someone who's a prosecutor to bring charges. One more.
How about over here?
So how are you gonna get past all of this gridlock and get people to actually look at the evidence? I mean, if we have the evidence that we need, I mean.
She's asking how we get past the gridlock and get people to look at the evidence, and I'd say first, I don't think it's gridlock. Gridlock assumes that there's two warring factions that can't get along. We have what's called a uniparty right now in Lansing. It's not gridlock, it's just the fact that they go along with each other, and our Republicans are cowards and won't do anything about it.
Yep.
They haven't stood up like the representatives did and the Senate did in Arizona. And that's what we need. We need those people to stand up in Lansing like they did in Arizona. But it's going to change, because those results are coming out in Arizona. And when they do, and if there's any evidence of fraud in Arizona, for instance, I don't know, let's say they can't find 200,000 ballots. But Bernie Carrick sent out a tweet today. He said, you know, they might not be able to find 200,000 ballots. And I sent back a reply and I said, no, it's not an issue of not finding them. They never existed in the first place. But if there is evidence that comes out in Arizona that there's 200,000 ballots missing, that's going to create a tidal wave across this country and across these states. And every one of our Michigan representatives is going to get hit in the face with this tidal wave, and they're going to look stupid because they've sat on their hands and done nothing. And that's going to be the same in Michigan and Georgia and Pennsylvania, and Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Marion said I can talk. This is really for this part of the room, not this part of the room. This event was labeled a fundraiser to support that guy, right?
Right.
We raised whatever Marion said, ticket prices. I'm gonna leave a little money somewhere here, and if y'all think about putting a couple more bucks in, we can beat 6,000 or 5,000, whatever Marion said. If it's a fundraiser to support that guy, let's support the guy. Let's not just give him a round of applause and say good man. Let's put some dough.
Yeah, good job.
I gotta run. She's telling me to get off. Thanks for everyone for coming out. We really appreciate all the donations, everything everyone did. God bless.